For me, manga was the start of everything. Since early childhood, it was all I had, the only thing around me. Manga wasn't just a story, it was an experience. Back then, reading manga was a whole ritual for our generation. You could rent it, you could buy it, or you'd wait, hoping a friend would lend you their copy. Every month, there was excitement. We waited for the next volume to drop. What a time. I'm truly glad I got to live through that era. Then came the internet, and suddenly, manga was everywhere. Being pirated, uploaded to dozens of sites like MangaFox, Manga Here, Batato, they all blew up. At that time, official English translations didn't exist. Publishers like Shueisha and Kodansha were still focused on physical copies. But all the hype was still on manga. Then, boom, the Manhwa era arrived. Panels that used to be black and white were now full color. Reading flipped from left to right to scrolling up and down. Manhwa started popping up on our favorite fan sites. And then came the Webtoon app. And it exploded. Webtoon grew fast, really fast. It brought in a huge wave of new readers and released a lot of great series. But most importantly, Manhwa did something manga took too long to do: global adaptation. That shift hit manga hard. Physical sales started to drop. Reader habits changed, from collecting books to reading everything on a phone. And that's when the big question started floating around the community. Is manga dying? Or will Manhwa take over and become the new king? Let's begin with a question. Have you ever stopped to wonder, when did manga truly begin? Most think of manga as a product of modern Japan, but its origins run far deeper, into the very veins of ancient Japanese culture. Long before printing presses, before even modern language, there were ema kimono scrolls, flowing tales painted by hand in the 12th century. Among them, there a scroll depicting animals behaving like humans called Choju Jimbatsu Giga. This scroll telling stories frame by frame, in a sequence eerily reminiscent of today's comics. Could this be the world's very first manga? Some historians believe so. Fast forward to the Edo period, a time of color, chaos, and creativity. At this era, books like Toba Ihan was released, a book that, rich with whimsical illustrations, captured the hearts of the people. These Toba-style images were caricatures, sometimes involving animals performing human tasks, and this laid the artistic and cultural groundwork for what manga would become. The actual term manga first came into regular use in 1798, when work like Shiji no Yukikai by Santo Kyoden and Kibyoshi gaining popularity. This work of art easily penetrate the citizen, since they are combining satire, romance, and humor. Many scholars even consider Kibyoshi to be the first true comic books in the world. After World War II, Japan was in painstakingly recovering their country, and people were desperate for affordable entertainment. That's when modern manga truly began to take shape. There are two pioneers defined this era. First is Osamu Tezuka, the godfather of manga, who gifted Astro Boy to the world. And second is Michiko Hasegawa, creator of Sazae-san, a mirror to daily life and gentle laughter. Tezuka was nothing short of a genius. He revolutionized manga storytelling by borrowing from cinema: dramatic angles, zoom-ins, emotional pacing. Each panel felt like a movie reel, alive, vibrant, unforgettable. He didn't just draw, he directed emotions. And while Tezuka's Astro Boy soared into the future, Sazae-san gave comfort to the present, to the mothers, the fathers, the children rebuilding their lives. It offered warmth, laughter, and a reminder of normalcy. Today, Sazae-san remains the longest-running animated TV series in history, airing every week for over 55 years. The 1950s and 60s were a golden age. Manga readership exploded, and two dominant genres emerged: shonen, stories of courage, rivalry, and dreams aimed at young boys; Titles like Doraemon, Ashita no Joe, Kinnikuman, and Captain Tsubasa lit imaginations on fire. Shoujo, tales of emotion, romance, and transformation, crafted for girls and young women, from The Rose of Versailles to Sailor Moon, Tokyo Mew Mew, and Mermaid Melody. They spoke directly to the heart. This was the period that marks the golden age of manga, an era that established the foundation for everything that would follow to this day. But manga wouldn't remain Japan's secret for long, because by the 1980s, the world was watching. And what lit the spark? It was anime. Explosive hits like Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and Naruto leaped from page to screen, captivating audiences across the globe. Soon, publishers like Viz Media, Tokyo Pop, and Kodansha USA began translating manga for the West. By the early 2000s, manga was everywhere, in bookstores, on TV, in hearts. And it wasn't just for kids. Horror, romance, science fiction, philosophy. Manga shattered genres and redefined what comics could be. It wasn't just entertainment anymore, it was art. It was culture. It was a movement. This remains until this day. Now let's talk about manhwa. While manga has dominated global attention for decades, Korea has its own rich tradition of comic art, and that's manhwa. But where did manhwa begin? The term manhwa, written as manhwa, the same Chinese characters as manga, was first used in Korea in the early 20th century. Inspired by political cartoons, early manhwa began appearing in newspapers and magazines under Japanese occupation, 1910–1945. These early works were often satirical, focused on politics, social issues, and national identity. However, during this time, creative freedom was limited. Strict censorship by the Japanese colonial government made it difficult for artists to express freely. Even so, cartoon art became a popular tool for commentary and resistance. After Korea's liberation in 1945, manhwa experienced a creative explosion. With Western influence and a renewed sense of national identity, artists began publishing long-form comic books, many of which were hand-drawn and serialized in magazines. By the 1960s and 70s, manhwa became an integral part of youth culture in South Korea. However, strict government censorship laws still heavily regulated content, especially anything considered politically sensitive or morally questionable. Despite this, artists like Kim Soo-jung, creator of Dooley the Little Dinosaur, became household names. Manhwa was becoming mainstream, but unlike Japan, in Korea, manhwa lacked the same massive publishing infrastructure to export their work abroad. In the 1980s and 1990s, manhwa hit a commercial high in Korea thanks to rental bookstores, where readers could borrow manhwa cheaply, similar to manga rental shops in Japan. This era produced a wave of classic manhwa titles and built a strong domestic fan base. However, it also led to market saturation and a decline in quality as publishers prioritized quantity over storytelling. At the same time, piracy and photocopying became rampant. Combined with South Korea's strict content regulations, manhwa's popularity began to decline in the late 1990s. Then came the internet, and with it came a revolution, and a big one. In 2003, Kakao launched Webtoon, a platform for publishing digital comics designed specifically for scrolling on smartphones. Full color, mobile optimized, and easy to access, Webtoons completely redefined what manhwa could be. This model gave creators more freedom, allowed for direct reader interaction, and broke the traditional barriers of print publishing. Soon, new platforms like Naver Webtoon, Legend, Tapas, and Tapitoon followed. Titles like Tower of God, Noblesse, God of High School became international hits. These series were among the first Korean webtoons to gain anime adaptations, marking manhwa's entry into global pop culture. By the late 2010s and early 2020s, manhwa, now mostly in webtoon format, began gaining massive international appeal. The turning point came with titles like Solo Leveling, Omniscient Reader, Lore Olympus. These works attracted millions of readers globally and were translated into dozens of languages. Unlike manga, manhwa embraced digital-first globalization from the start, using platforms with built-in translations, free-to-read chapters, and mobile notifications to reach fans everywhere. By 2025, manhwa is no longer just a Korean phenomenon. It's a global content industry, with its own animation studios, merchandise, and streaming deals. But what makes manhwa different? Manhwa excels at exploring modern themes: dating, mental health, workplace drama, power fantasy, and romance, often in ways manga hasn't touched. With its full-color art, mobile convenience, and fast production cycle, it's built perfectly for a new generation of readers raised on smartphones and instant content. However, while manhwa has grown incredibly fast, the question remains, can it truly dethrone manga as the king of comic culture? On the surface, manga and manhwa may look like cousins. Both are comics from East Asia, deeply emotional and artistically expressive. But look a little closer, and the differences are striking in how they're created, how they're consumed, and even how they tell their stories. In this chapter, we're going to break it down into 5 main points: storytelling, production style, publishing method, art style, and reader experience. Now let's get started. Let's start with storytelling. Both manga and manhwa tell stories through panels, the building blocks of visual storytelling. But the way they use panels is very different, and it deeply affects how their stories are told. Manga uses traditional paneling with deliberate pacing. Every page turn, every silence, every angle, it's crafted with intention. The artist has full control over the reader's rhythm. It's like watching a movie, one frame at a time. Look at Berserk or Vagabond. Every panel is like a painting. Heavy shadows, slow tension, long pauses. Even something like One Piece can show chaos, emotion, and multiple characters, all in one dense layout. This approach lets the creator fully express their vision. They can take 5 panels for one moment if that's what the story needs. But manhwa, especially in webtoon format, is built for flow. It scrolls vertically, one frame after another, smooth, clean, and fast. Action scenes stretch down the screen like a waterfall. Emotional moments are spaced out like beats in a melody. It's designed for speed, especially on mobile devices. Manga might hide tiny clues in a single frame. Manhwa keeps things clear, uncluttered. It's not worse, just different. But I'd say manga focuses more on art and depth. Manhwa focuses more on flow and delivery. And sometimes that fast flow makes manhwa feel a bit flat or rushed, compared to manga's more layered style. Now, we talk about how they are made. Most manga begins with a single person, the mangaka. They handle the story, the art, the layout, literally everything. That's why manga often feels personal. You're seeing one creator's vision, straight from their hand. But the cost is high. Weekly chapters mean 16 to 20 pages, every single week. It's a brutal schedule. Many famous mangaka have pushed themselves to the edge. After their series serialized, they may get assistants. These assistants are a few people helping with backgrounds or screen tones, but it's still the creator's show. Meanwhile, manhwa, on the other hand, especially Korean webtoons, are made by teams from the start. Why? Because most manhwa begins as a web novel. The publisher picks a popular story, then hires a studio or group to turn it into a webtoon. Writers and artists are usually separate entity. Colorists, inkers, background artists, all divided. This teamwork allows faster production, but it also creates a system. If the artist can't keep up or doesn't meet the vision, they may get replaced mid-season. That's normal in manhwa production. Well, there are exceptions, of course. Some small creators, especially outside Korea, work solo like a mangaka, but for most official Korean webtoons, it's a team project. Also, both industries are commercial-oriented, but manhwa takes capitalism to another level. Manga might get canceled and rush to an ending. But manhwa? It might just stop, with no warning, no closure. And here's another key difference. Manhwa is written in seasons, like a TV show. The story is outlined first, then released week by week. It takes a break between seasons. On the other hand, manga evolves as it goes, reacting to fan feedback or changing with the author's growth. This is where the biggest difference lies. Manga is print first when manhwa is digital first. New series in manga usually debut in magazines like Shonen Jump, Afternoon, or Nakayoshi. Only successful ones get collected into physical books called tankobon and sold in stores. Manhwa is digital first, but webtoons are published directly on platforms like Naver Webtoon, Lezen, Kakao Page, or Tapas. Readers scroll on phones. Most series are free with ads or follow a pay-to-unlock model. No printing, no delays, just global access instantly. And this also affects how you get published. If you want to make manga in Japan, you usually submit a one-shot, a short, complete story. Then either upload to platforms like Jump Rookie or Days Neo, or enter contests like the Tezuka Award or Shonen Magazine Award. Or you request a face-to-face meeting with an editor, called a mochikomi. It's a traditional path, slow but proven. Now compare that to Manhwa. You submit a scroll format full-color episode, just one. Then, you upload to Line Webtoon Canvas or Naver Challenge. If it performs well, editors might reach out. Or you also can apply directly to platforms like Legend, Kakao Page, or Tumix. It's digital from day one. In this section, I think Manhwa is faster and better for the user. Manga is still traditionally follow the black and white culture because it's cheaper and faster to produce. But that limitation is also its strength. Manga artists use shading, screen tone, and detail to build mood and drama. Manhwa is fully colored, bright, clean, and polished. It looks great on screens, and it's very appealing to new readers. Characters often have shiny eyes, smooth gradients, and soft lighting. The trade-off? Color takes time, so some manhwas simplify backgrounds or action scenes to keep up the pace. Still, this is one of manhwa's biggest draws. It looks beautiful and modern, and it grabs people fast. It's the same reason many prefer anime over manga: full color, full immersion. This one is personal. But most people see manga as an experience. You sit down, you flip through the pages, you feel the pacing, you notice the details. It rewards attention. Meanwhile, manhwa is convenient. You read it while commuting, on your phone, in bed. It's designed to be quick, emotional, and addictive. Both styles have their strengths. Manga gives you depth, manhwa gives you speed. For me, most manhwa feels fast, built to entertain you quickly. Panels move fast. Story arcs rush to grab you. That's not a bad thing. It works. It's designed that way. But it lacks depth. But manga? It often takes its time. It builds the world slowly. In the end, manga and manhwa aren't just different styles. They're two philosophies of storytelling. Manga is the lone genius, an artist pouring years of effort onto the page, crafting a masterpiece by hand. Manhwa, on the other hand, is the fast-moving creative team, built for a global digital world. It's agile, accessible, and constantly evolving. But here's the question. Can something fast and accessible truly outshine something slow and masterful? Manhwa is catching up fast, but manga still leads globally in influence, reach, and cultural legacy. That said, the gap is closing, especially in digital spaces. Right now, manga still dominates for several key reasons. It has a long legacy with decades of iconic titles like Naruto, One Piece, and Attack on Titan that have shaped global pop culture. It's also deeply connected to the anime industry, powered by publishing giants like Shueisha and Kodansha, who have strong global pipelines. And when it comes to genre variety, manga covers everything, from horror and sports to romance and slice of life, often with rich characters and carefully crafted pacing. But manhwa is rising fast. It thrives in the digital age, built for mobile-first reading with scrolling formats that are easy and intuitive, especially for younger audiences. Platforms like Line Webtoon and Naver Challenge make it accessible to anyone, lowering the barrier to entry for new creators. Its full-color visuals and fast-paced cliffhangers make it incredibly bingeable. And now, titles like Solo Leveling, Tower of God, and Omniscient Reader are getting anime adaptations, drawing in massive global fanbases. So while manga still leads today, manhwa is gaining ground. And the future? It might not be a battle, but a shared stage. This is just my opinion, so take it as that. I don't think manhwa will ever surpass manga, and here's why. Yes, it's true. Manga is slowing down a bit, and manhwa is rising fast, especially in digital platforms. But honestly, I believe this is already the peak of manhwa. Manga isn't just about stories anymore. It's become part of a global culture. Classic titles like Dragon Ball, Astro Boy, Gundam, Berserk, and Slam Dunk have already taken deep root in pop culture across generations. They didn't just tell stories, they built legacies. And when it comes to IP and animation, manga is still way ahead, way ahead. The anime industry boosts manga in a massive way, giving it reach, emotion, and global visibility that manhwa just hasn't matched yet. Even Solo Leveling animation, still made in Japan. Even now, I feel manga offers more depth. You can see the creator's full intention behind the characters, world, and emotion. Meanwhile, Manhwa, because it's built for fast-paced digital release, tends to follow what sells. Yes, it's efficient and visually appealing, but the downside is this. A lot of Manhwa stories start to feel the same. From 2021 to 2023, we saw countless regression and system manhwa. One character goes back in time, gets OP, rinse and repeat. Why? Because that's what sells, and what dominates Korea's web novel market. On the other hand, manga still tries to explore different kinds of stories, even if they don't always go mainstream. So yeah, manhwa is strong right now, but manga's roots, diversity, and influence are on another level. And in my opinion, that's why manhwa won't beat manga.